Hey guys, Jared Krause, host of the Buying Online Businesses podcast. And in this episode, I spoke to Doug Cunnignton. Now, Doug has, from his first website he ever built, started making $6,000 a month, all the way up into the $10,000 per month range from his sites. And now his clients are crushing it as well. And he's particularly focused on niche affiliate websites. And I talked to him why niche affiliate websites and how they're so valuable for him and for his clients and for us as possible purchasers. We also talk about what sort of niches to look for, whether they're good or bad when we're buying a website. And then we talk about how to grow one of these affiliate websites once we've bought it. And that can be through different on-page SEO tactics or different off-page SEO tactics. We also talk about the difference between growing our affiliate website via pay-per-click advertising versus growing it via SEO. And then there's a really cool term or thing that Doug coined himself, which is called the keyword golden ratio. And what this is a little ratio, and then he's got his own calculator here, where you can find a way to use keywords that can rank you in the top 100 to top 50 websites on search engines within one day. And I'm going to put links to this in the actual show. So such a valuable episode. If you're looking to buy an affiliate website and grow a website, be sure not to miss this one. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Buying Online Businesses podcast. And today I'm speaking with the niche website master, Mr. Doug Cunnignton from Niche Site Project. Doug, thank you so much for coming on.
Jared, my pleasure. Really my pleasure to be here. So yeah, I'm pumped. Let's do this.
So I wanted you to give us like a non-humble sort of intro to yourself, list out some accolades and all that sort of stuff on how you actually got started in, why niche sites and why affiliate sites. And we'll dig into that. But yeah, let us know like how you came about this.
Okay. Well, I don't have the non-humble one, so I'll just do my best and then maybe it'll come out as we go.
Okay.
But yeah, my name's Doug Cunnignton, and I accidentally found my way into internet marketing and niche websites and affiliate marketing. I had a corporate job, sort of a standard like 9 to 5 or 8 to 8 situation where I was a management consultant. So it was actually like a good job externally, but it was soul sucking, like, many jobs turn out to be, but the pay was good, which almost makes it worse. But I did get good experience in the corporate world, and I was exposed to like many different, like just high tech and IT areas. And I know, a lot of our audience just in general, I think they have a similar background where it's like IT, like we're reasonably smart folks, but we found ourselves in some job that we don't really like. So that was me, and I wasn't really going to do anything about it. But I found this podcast called Smart Passive Income in 2013, in around the April timeframe. I just kind of remember I was out walking my dog looking for a new podcast. I wasn't into business or entrepreneurship at all. It wasn't on my radar. So I just randomly started listening to Smart Passive Income from episode 1. And I thought Pat Flynn sounded pretty reasonable and trustworthy. So I stuck with it. And I was like obsessed, Jared. I listened to probably 2-3 episodes, maybe more per day. And I like pounded through his whole back catalog there so quick. And within, I would say 4 to 5 weeks, I like launched my first site. Didn't know what I was doing, made every mistake in the world and all that kind of stuff. And I just had this side project going for, a couple of years, had some decent success. And then in 2015, I got laid off from my job and decided to make a go of it. So that's kind of how I ended up doing what I'm doing. And I think I didn't talk about it much, but I have a project management background. So I feel like I bring a unique frame of mind to affiliate marketing, where it's like the sort of like the corporate, I can't think of the word, but just the detail oriented pieces of a project manager, like laying on top the marketing portion, which I learned from scratch in 2013 I'm still a student of all that stuff, of course, but that's how I got here. So that was a long answer to a short, simple question.
No, that's great. And I think we're all like, if you already know it all and you're not a student, you're definitely getting left behind, right? And so you consume so much of Pat Flynn. So Smart Passive Income podcast, really great podcast. And I came across his stuff quite a while ago. And so Doug, you went from the corporate to doing your own thing. And I really tell everybody when they're first starting to make money online that it's best to start whilst you're still got an income stream. Because when, I've had people come to me like, Jared, I'm just going to quit my job and I'm going to go buy a website. I'm like, well, nah, like I don't want to work with you, because they put themselves in a position where like they're not earning income, and they put themselves in a scarcity mindset of like, I've got to make this happen real quick. I've got to buy this website because I don't have an income, and they may end up buying the wrong one, and they come from a place of scarcity. So did you sort of start earning a little bit money? I know that you got laid off, and that may have been out of your control and all that sort of stuff, because I know you're a great worker, especially with everything, I've seen you being really good at systems and stuff like that. So did you start earning money, whilst you're still working, and how did that sort of play out?
Yes. So it was a little bit of a different time in the SEO world in 2013, even though it was not really that long ago, but you could do things and rank your site faster. So I actually had a couple, here's where I can be non-humble here. I had a couple like awesome, like earnings in less than a year. Like within 6 months, I had like a site that was making $6,000 a month.
Awesome.
It was great. Yeah. And I was like, I could do this. This is easy. I'm going to quit my job. Like it's getting close to where like it's replacement income, not quite, but getting close to it. And then like all internet marketers, and I had basically a penalty, right? So I had the Google penalty. So all internet marketers have that issue at some point, and then hopefully you dial it back a little bit and you stay a little more conservative. So to answer your question, yeah, I was making money, and it went up and down. So I actually got sites penalized multiple times, and which is why I stick to a more conservative, risk-averse, white hat approach, just because I have time, right? I have time and I don't like the risk. So to answer your question and to like get to the root of what you're talking about, like I would have probably not quit my job ever if I didn't get laid off, because I'm like, my wife and I are very risk averse, and basically I was making like double income with full benefits, and I was working remotely anyway. So like I had like the perfect job to do this. And as most people know, there's a lot of waste in a corporate job where probably you can do all your work in like 2 hours a day, maybe less, maybe you got some longer days depending on what's going on. But on average, I mean, if you are working like effectively, and like, yeah, the emails to ignore and the ones to get back to and stuff. So I probably would not have quit. I just would have, actually would be retired by now, just with a like extra income for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But I don't really advise people, like you said, you end up making decisions where it's like driven by money versus like a better decision for long-term asset, long-term situation.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, that's what I say is like, I bought my businesses. I had 2 businesses that I had bought, and I was making more from my current income than I was from my plumbing job. So I went, all right, now I finally get to live the lifestyle. Like I was huge on having a lifestyle. Like my reason wasn't like, I want to get online so I can become rich. Like mine was like, I want to get online so I can have the lifestyle. And when I got to a point where I was like, all right, I've got the same income, or actually a little bit more, now I can do that. And I've got that education I can rely on. So it depends on the person, but I really heavily want to put a massive emphasis that everybody listening is that, like, don't put yourself in a position where there's a whole lot of risk. Like you, Doug, like you were like I would still be working if it wasn't, if I didn't get laid off, because then you can achieve your financial goals a lot quicker, right? So sometimes there's people that have like one business and they're making more from that business than a current job. But if you save the income from the one business that you bought, and then you still save the money from your current job, like you're going to achieve those goals a lot quicker. And maybe you're going to be able to buy a bigger website in the future quicker than what you would do if you quit your job. So depends on whether it's financial goals you want to hit or whether it's, the lifestyle goals. So that's really huge. And let's talk about the affiliate sites. Like you talked about our white hat. For everybody listening, white hat is like the best approach to go when you're doing SEO. The latter is black hat, and you will get penalized, right? There was a big update that happened just was it last month? No, it started this month, wasn't it? With Google. Sorry, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, it doesn't even matter which month you say or when someone listens to it. Probably there's a recent update that happened. It's being, the algorithm's tweaked all the time. So, go ahead.
Okay. And so, you've got the white hat and then you've got the black hat, but let's talk about niche sites. Like why niche websites? Like why did you, and like affiliate niche websites, why did you move down that trail as opposed to like drop shipping, or I know FBA was only kind of just coming out like a few years ago, and different types of business models. Why would you choose that method?
Basically, there were a few case studies being done around the time that I was getting started. So it was kind of dumb luck. And if I would have found a drop shipping sort of case study at the right time from the same people that I was following, I probably would have followed down that route. And the other part is, I tried actually the first couple sites were more AdSense based, which I believe Pat Flynn, at least some of his earlier content, it was generally based on like AdSense and more informational websites versus affiliate websites. So if people are curious, you can check out, I think it's securityguardtraininghq.com. People can go kind of look at that. And that was an early public case study that Pat Flynn did. I think it's still out there. So anyway, if I would have started a couple years earlier, I probably would have done that if I would have found something else. So it was just kind of dumb luck. Those first few sites that I started with AdSense, they didn't work out. I made a lot of mistakes like we do when we're beginners. But as I was following one of these case studies by Spencer Hawes over at Niche Pursuits, and I say niche, but I know niche is probably more correct, but I'm just going to stick with my, harsh American accent. So Niche Pursuits, Spencer was doing a case study over there, and I like jumped in, followed along, and it worked out great. That was a site that I had like great success with early on. And Spencer featured me on the podcast and on his site as a success story. So it was sort of like a launching point. So why? That's the first one that worked out. And then I'm definitely a believer of iterating on what's working and like refining the process from there. So I have thought every now and then, hey, maybe I should get into drop shipping. Maybe I should tweak the business model, do some white labeling or private labeling for my own sites and just have a higher margin. But I know what I'm doing with affiliate marketing, and I've just stuck with it. So
I love that. And for everybody listening, what a great takeaway from that is that, you started off doing that and it's working. Like stick to what you know, right? Like, and that's what I tell everybody is like when they first go to buy a website is like stick to what you know. If you know a little bit about drop shipping, maybe stick to that. A little bit about FBA or affiliate, stick to that. If you don't know, then the one that resonates with you the most or you understand the easiest, stick to that one. And, for you understood affiliate, like, hey, let's run with it. And you got great at it and stick to it. Like, why change that? And so, and I'm the same. I say niche as well, not niche. Even though the cool quote is that the riches are in the niches. But I say, yeah. So like if somebody's going to go buy a website and like, how would you determine if it's in a good niche or if it's niche enough? Like when you're going to start a website that's a niche site, like what are
Sure.
some of the factors that you look at, and what should people be looking at when they're going to buy a niche website?
Okay. A couple things before I even answer. So I think a niche website versus a quote authority website is really a matter of like who you're talking to and the marketing behind it. I think it's a branding thing. So my site is a niche site project. So I kind of stick with the niche site, and I just, really we're just talking about affiliate sites in general. So your question around, is it maybe too narrow or broad enough or whatever? Generally, and I don't buy sites typically, so I'm just speaking from a general sense here. Basically, I'd like to have a site where it's broad enough to grow very large. It doesn't mean that a person has to grow it to like some huge site that's going to be competing with like the Wirecutter, and well, that's just crazy. But I mean, it doesn't have to be like hugely broad. But I would say like outdoor or like home appliances or tools or something like that, where there are thousands of products, and you could even narrow it down and focus. Now, starting a brand new site, which is a little bit different than the question that you asked, but if you're starting a brand new site, I usually recommend that people brand their site broadly, but focus in a narrow area to start off with, because otherwise you're going to be overwhelmed with trying to create too much content and just overwhelmed with everything. So I think if someone bought a site, they probably would want to look at the same sort of things like, well, is this site too narrow? Am I going to have to rebrand this just to cover, grow the site, offer more products and that sort of thing? So did I miss a question in there? Did I get everything?
No, that's great. So what I pick up on is that with the niche type of, like if you're going for a niche, make sure it's not too niche, because then you might have to change some things as well. And so let's have an example, right? Say it's like somebody that's buying a niche website that's hats. And if you just talk about, one type of hat and one color of hat, then you're going to find, it could be the greenhatco.com, and you're reviewing just green hats that are, wide brim or something like that. That's probably too niche. But if it's like the hat review co or the hat review guys.com, you can review a whole bunch of hats, but it's still quite niche, right? Like, would that be a good example if you're going to buy something like that?
Sure. Yeah. And I think, there's exceptions to everything. So we're obviously just talking in a general sense, but like if the prices of the product are really high and the volume's decent, then sure, maybe it works out even if it's fairly narrow. But yeah, a person could focus on like hats or headwear as a category. And then a lot of times I advise people like, it could be nice to like sell all accessories, right? So any accessory, even if it's not like on your head. So it doesn't mean you have to rebrand the site, but I'm just like, it's close enough. It's an accessory that someone would buy. So maybe we put in scarves too, right? That sort of thing.
Yeah. Cool. And so with these niche sites, and you're going affiliate, aren't you? Normally it's affiliate sites. So what do you see is the best, like what are some really cool, like Commission Junction or ClickBank or Amazon Associate? What do you call these? You call them like affiliate type of
it's like a program. Some of them
affiliate program, right?
There's a marketplace like Commission Junction or something like that.
Yeah, so you got an affiliate program. What do you see are some of the best ones and why? So say somebody's bought a website, or they're looking at buying a website, and it's just Amazon Associate or it's just ClickBank or just Commission Junction. Like, what would you say is the best like one to go to grow it with using a different one? Or like, what are some of your favorites? And
Sure. So this answer will probably be boring. I usually just stick to Amazon Associates due to the volume and high conversion percentage, even though the commission rate's a little bit lower than the other area, like other programs just in general. But you don't get as big of a conversion rate. In Amazon, they just convert well. People buy a lot of stuff typically, and I don't really deal with other programs. So I've dabbled a little bit with ClickBank when a product was a good fit for maybe the email list that I had, for example. But generally, I'm just, back to the point before, one trick pony. So like the Amazon affiliate stuff works well. I can get traffic in via SEO. The model works pretty well. It's fairly hands-off once you get it set up, which I appreciate a lot. So I can't really knowledgeably speak on some of the other programs. They do pay more. And I guess hypothetically, right, I haven't done this, and I think it's always important to mention that when I'm talking out of my ass here. But basically, I think if you had a great fit for certain products and you had a good way to market them, maybe it is like cold traffic landing on your site, but I think some higher priced products, maybe, something that people need a little more convincing, the email marketing aspect would be, really valuable. And at that point, it's pretty fun, right? I mean, you have to get traffic to your site. You have to, entice them to get on your email list, and then you have to write some, nice email copy. That's fun, man. I like that stuff. But as far as being, something that I work on a lot, I don't do that. So,
yeah. So what you're saying for everybody listening is that, you can have affiliate site, you can still get there, you can still build a list and do some email marketing and, feed them over time to different products that, where you could put an affiliate link in, right?
Yep, exactly.
And would you say you wouldn't do that with Amazon associate sort of review type websites, or you would only do it with a different type of like affiliate program?
So two main things jump out at me there. So number one, with the Amazon affiliate program, you can't put your affiliate links in an email. There are quite a few restrictions on what you can do, and that's something that you can't do. Mm-hmm. Now with other programs and whoever, could be out there selling products that you're an affiliate for, you may be able to put those in your emails or whatever. You could write them on a piece of paper and give it to someone, right? Like other programs are way more flexible.
Yeah.
So for an Amazon affiliate site, I have experimented some with growing an email list. Again, it's fun to do and have like a 30 email autoresponder and all this stuff. And it brought traffic back to the site. It was pretty effective. I started analyzing like the ROI just in a general sense, and it wasn't really there. So I stopped like actively pulling more people on, and I've grown some pretty big lists for Amazon affiliate sites, over 10,000, and marketed some stuff. But at the end of the day, I was like, I'm not really making many sales that way. And the way I was tracking it is I would create a page with a specific tracking ID, and then I would send the email subscribers to that page. So I had visibility on like, were people actually buying anything from that page? And generally the answer is no, they weren't. Every site would be different depending on how you got them on the email list and a number of factors. So I would encourage people to test if they're interested. But for me, it didn't work out. And getting deep into the weeds here, one of the reasons why I decided to not gather any more emails is I was using a plugin, one of those opt-in plugins. A specific one was Sumo, but I've used a number of them out there. Generally, they're pretty heavy on JavaScript, and that slows your site down. So I was trying to speed up my site, and I was like, I have this site like so lean, like there's no other plugins, like it should be loading fast. And the opt-in plugin was just like trashing the whole speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I took it off. It's like 25, it's like 4 times faster, right? Just way faster. And I was like, if I'm not getting an ROI and I can just ignore this thing and my site loads faster, I'm going to do that. So
that's crazy that just one piece of software was slowing it down that by 4x minimum. And that's a really good a really good thing to take note of for the listeners is like for SEO, which helps you get ranked higher in the search engines, is that having a fast site is so important. And you could grow your site just by getting better SEO. But let's talk about like how like you tried to do a bit of email marketing, you tested it out, wasn't really, the ROI wasn't great. So say somebody goes and buys an affiliate website. What do you feel would be they should check out when they first buy it, the opportunities where they can add value, and how would you grow one if you had an example?
Sure. So I'd probably look at a couple areas sort of on the technical side. And one of our mutual friends, Dom Wells, he and I were talking about this the other day. And I know he's probably going to be on the podcast sometime soon, or maybe
he was on the last one, actually. Yeah.
Okay. So his episode is already out. So listen to Dom. He's like more versed in it. But in a general sense, I would look at like on-page issues first. So any kind of on-page SEO problems that you may have, anything on site. So I'd look at, just keyword density, some of the, titles and the interlinking throughout the site. So I think that's pretty important to have your site well interlinked. So I don't know if this analogy holds up, really well, but the link juice to pass through your site. But I mean, even if the analogy is a little off, the fact that you interlink your site is a good thing. And I've seen like good things happen with that. I would also look at some of the just sort of core optimization principles, where, I don't do a ton of A/B testing. I just try and get things like good enough. And generally, me personally, I like to have like a text call to action. Again, from a copywriting perspective, you want to tell the user what to do. You don't want to like let them figure out what to do. So tell the user, hey, if you want to learn more about this product or see the pricing, go check it out on Amazon. Like click this link here. So I'd look at some of the basic things like that. I would also check out, just in a general sense, the offsite SEO. So those are external backlinks to get a handle of, are these backlinks good? Are they bad? Are there very many of them? Do we need a lot more? Do we need more to like the homepage to get some brandability with branded anchor text and that sort of thing? So that's the general approach, but I think most of your benefits are probably going to come from that on-page tweaking, like in a pretty quick fashion.
Yeah, awesome. Wow, that's so much value right there. It's this on-page SEO, keyword tweaking, and then you can do off-page SEO with the link building, which is really important. And then I picked up one really cool thing that maybe a lot of people that are first getting into buying a website don't really know, is that when you have a piece of content or you have something that somebody's going to consume on your website or even off your website, like say a Facebook post or a social media post or even on YouTube, I know that I do this, is have a CTA. And what a CTA is, that call to action, right? Because they've consumed your content like, wow, this is really good. And they just, if you don't have a call to action, they're just going to like, you're lost, like you're gone. Like they're just going to pick up their phone and scroll somewhere else or whatever it is. And to keep them interested and keep teaching them and giving them more and more and more value, then you do a CTA, or to sort of help them buy a product that's right for them, have a CTA. And a lot of people think like call to action is like, oh, it's great because you're just going to go away and make money. And yeah, that's the case. But the people that make money the most, or the people that make the most money, are the people that add more value to the world, whether it's through your product or service anyway. So the way you look at it is really important as well.
Yep.
So that's so cool. And we're talking about SEO, right? And that's really important, on-page SEO, off-page SEO, and different things. But like, I think I know the answer to this now, and I've always wanted to ask you this question, is like, if you were to grow a site, would you be putting more time and money into SEO now, or would it be PPC? And if so, why?
Gotcha. So another area where I never really like put much time into was, any kind of ads. So I've run some Facebook ads, but not to any of my affiliate sites. The margins are too low. to make the math work. So from a drop shipping perspective, I understand you have more money you have more profit to play with, right?
Yeah.
So just in general, it's not going to work. So I never dabbled in it at all, just because I heard a couple people say that they were going to try it to see if they could improve their rankings through just running ads and getting some traffic to their site. Never worked, by the way, because if you could do it, then everyone would just do that. So the margins are too low with the kind of affiliate sites that I create. So you are basically at the mercy of, the Google Sandbox, like Google algorithms, and it takes a little bit longer to move through. The Google Sandbox, if people aren't familiar, is hypothetical, right? It's not proven. There's no like case studies or data like proving it specifically, but generally the first 6 months of your site, you're going to get like a smaller amount of organic traffic, and slowly, after 6 months, usually you grow a little bit faster. And then I've been hearing from a lot of my students that after about 1 year, they see a lot of growth after that too. So there may be like a 6 month and then a 1 year. There are some ways to circuit it, and I'm not sure if we're going to talk about the keyword golden ratio in another area, but I could talk about it now if you want.
Yeah, bring it up, especially with the sandbox, because there's I remember us talking about this at the end of our last episode off air. And it's really awesome what Doug has sort of coined here. But in relation to the sandbox, like people that want to buy a website, maybe it's 6 months old, which I don't recommend. Buy something over that's a year old. And you've mentioned that it can grow a little bit after the year mark because of the sandbox. So can you explain to us like what the Google Sandbox is that people have never heard of that before? And then also moving into the keyword golden ratio?
Sure. So the sandbox, again, is the perhaps even mythical like concept that it's going to take you about 6 months to rank how your site should rank. And then potentially after 1 year, maybe the same situation. And you can still rank, but what I've seen is maybe your site has better content than the competition, and it's clearly obvious, right? Like you can look at it, other people can look at it, and you're ranking,
case, by the way, as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It is like you're ranking number 8 and you're stuck at number 8. You've been building links and you see sites ranking ahead of you. Those pages don't have as many links. The content is inferior and you're just like, what is going on? You can't figure it out. And I believe over time, Google has just sort of throttled back how quickly they move sites for a given keyword. And the reason why we're going deep into this, so I hope everybody enjoys this, is it doesn't give us visibility into what's working. So if someone is a marketer and they're trying to figure out shortcuts or to understand how like the algorithm works and then to exploit certain pieces of it, which is what generally we tried to do. And then Google could throttle back like how quickly for example, a backlink would provide its impact. So maybe instead of 2 to 3 days to get the impact from a link, maybe it's 2 or 3 months. And hopefully, if you're a dedicated worker, in the 2 to 3 months, you're doing many other things as well. So maybe even many other backlinks. At the end of the day, maybe your site does move up in the rankings, but you don't know what caused it. Was it the content? Was it social shares? Was it the backlinks? Was it specific backlinks or what? So from our perspective, we don't know what worked. So it helps Google in that they can keep us from exploiting certain things by preventing us from understanding what did what. Now, sure, someone could test it, but it would take forever. So I don't know anyone who's actually gone through it. Okay, so that sandbox discussion out of the way, I created a concept called the keyword golden ratio, and basically it's a data-driven way to find keywords that are underserved on the internet. So I will share some videos and links to sort of explain it. it's hard to understand, but I will state it out loud. So it's a formula, and it's the number of all entitled results divided by the search volume. Now, if you're not familiar with the all entitled, it's like an advanced search command, and you just type it into the Google search box. It's like all entitled, all one word, colon, and then you type in a search phrase, and no quotes or anything. You just type in the search phrase. And for our example, we'll use like best ballpoint pen for journaling. That's a low price item. Nobody really cares about ballpoint pens. So that's the example I always use.
So you type this into Google and you type it all in, what is it? All in
title,
and then best ballpoint pen for journaling.
Yep.
Into Google.
And then, and then you end up with like some results. And at the very top, it'll say whatever, like 200 results or 8 results or whatever. And then you'll see all the results below it. Just like normal, it's just an advanced search. And what it is, it's searching for all those words in the title of the post. So what that tells us is that someone is intentionally trying to rank for it. If they put it in the title, they're probably trying to rank for it, assuming they have like a little SEO, like some chops, right?
Yeah.
So if it's all entitled, they're intentionally trying to rank for it. If they're, if you don't see many results, that's generally a good thing, because it means not that many people are intentionally ranking for it. Now, the ratio that we're looking for is anything 0.25 or below. So you take the number of results and then divide it by the search volume. So I don't know, in our example, I don't know the search volume, so we'll just make it up to make the numbers easy here. So let's say we see 100 results for all entitled for best ballpoint pen for journaling, and the search volume is 1,000 searches per month. So that tells us the ratio is 0.1, which is below 0.25. So that's good. If you publish a piece of content and the ratio is that, most likely you will rank in the top like 100, probably in the top 50 within like a day, right? So one of the reasons why, like, it took a long time for people to listen to me about this, by the way.
So before you go on, just so everybody, all the listeners get, is you got 1,000 searches per month, and there's 100 search terms, or there's 100 results. So there's 100 results and over 1,000 a month. So it could be a different amount, but that makes, so you divide the amount of searches per month divided by the amount of results. Is that correct?
Other way around, but it'll be totally clear when I send a link. Again, it's kind of hard to do verbally.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the number of results divided by the search volume. And when you break it down, per month. When you break it down, it's like, there's more people like 10 times more people searching for this per month than there are results on the internet that use it in the title. So it's like a no-brainer. I like to say, I maybe mentioned it before, but people can just think of it as like supply and demand of like keywords. And if the supply is really low and the demand's pretty high, then go for it, right?
That's an absolutely awesome value and awesome information for anyone who's bought a website and just wanting to grow it, that you can get ranked in the top 50 if you do some solid research in this golden keyword ratio. And then after you've gotten ranked, in the top 100 to 50 in the first, obviously, day, it's only going to rank up higher if you got really good content and good keywords in there anyway, right?
Yep. Generally, and that's fairly conservative. I mean, the whole formula is very aggressive, so it actually works out pretty well. And if people are curious, you could actually just and you think maybe I'm full of it, which is fair. I wouldn't trust some random dude, but basically you can check out like success stories, because a lot of people some people were claiming, hey, that's, keyword search volumes are inaccurate. You're building a formula around inaccuracy, but it's very aggressive. So even if keyword volumes vary between tools, which they do because it's just an algorithm. They're all estimates. Everything is an estimate. Google doesn't even know, right?
Google Analytics is an estimate. Exactly.
So basically, just if you search for like keyword golden ratio success stories, you'll find a bunch of other people, not me, who were like, hey, I used it and it worked. And that is one of the reasons why I give it away for free. Because like if people see that and it works, then they'll probably listen to me for other stuff too.
For sure.
But yeah, it's super easy to just like test it and try it. It works for any site. So I know there's a lot of e-commerce and drop shipping folks listening. And I've had, any site with content, it could work for that. And additionally, I know some professionals out there, so like lawyers, dentists, and some other folks who market their business, and they've used the same ideas, and it works there too. So like whatever content you're trying to write, again, it's just supply and demand. So it's universal, works for any site.
I love that. Thank you so much for that share. That is so valuable. I'll put some links in the show notes for everybody. But one last thing I want to ask you is that in the online space of, buying a site or building a site like you've done, with what you know now, Doug, what advice would you tell yourself when you first got started back in like 2012 or 2013?
I would tell myself the same thing that I tell myself now, and it doesn't work. I don't listen, but don't focus on too many things at once. It slows everything down. You feel stressed out. You got time to do it all. You just can't do it all at once. So when you first get started, especially, and I don't know if it was the same for you, Jared, it's like you realize that you can do a little bit, when you make the first 30 cents or dollar or whatever, and you're like, I could do this. And then all you see is opportunities. You see opportunities everywhere. So I did way too many things, and you probably have, 40 domain names that you bought and you never did anything with, right? You're like, oh, I got this idea. And then, it's just, you throw away $20, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, just focus on like the number one thing, ignore everything else. And whenever I've done that in my business in different areas, that's when you see a ton of growth. You have to iterate on it too. It's not going to be easy just because you focus on it, but generally, that laser focus and I guess eliminating a lot of the noise out there, super helpful. And so I need to remind myself that now. And I wish I would have known that back in the beginning too.
Man, that's exactly the same as me. I think that's every single entrepreneur is like, we try to just do 1,000 things because we're just so hungry and wanting to make it work. And I'm quite like a hare. I just rush off and get things done. And one of my mentors, he makes, 100,000 a day. He makes like 50, 60 mil a year. He gave me this book. He said, Jared, you need this book. And it's called The One Thing. And it's a yellow cover. It's a New York Times bestselling. I'm pretty sure it's New York Times bestselling. And it's a really good book. And I read it and it states exactly what we're talking about. And it just breaks it down and why it's so important to focus on the one thing. And you get what you focus on. And the amount of time you focus on something determines how successful you are in that area. So if I'm trying to focus on all these 100 different things and little increments of time on each focus of that, that's not a massive amount of time on that one thing that I want to be successful in. So why not pick that one? So that's a great share, Doug. So, and where can people, thanks so much for jumping on the show. Really appreciate you coming on, seriously. And where can people find out more about you?
I'll give you two places. Niche Site Project, that's the blog. So if you like to read, go to Niche Site Project. Tons of free stuff there, including a calculator for the keyword golden ratio. So I put together a nice little spreadsheet there for everybody. And if you like podcasts, which you're listening to this, so I think you do, Doug.show. I got that sweet domain name there. So Doug.show. And it's available on generally all the directories out there that people are using. And those are the best places to hook up with me there. And I talk a lot about affiliate marketing and just some random stuff on the podcast. Anything goes, so I talk about travel sometimes and drinking beer and other things that I'm into, sometimes my dog. So yeah, those are the two places that I would go follow me.
And it's a great podcast. I was on the podcast as well. So great listen to a lot of these shows. So great. Thank you so much, Doug. For everybody who is wanting to go out and buy, a website business for themselves, I'd love to give you some help. I'd love to give some free resources, because doing the research and the due diligence isn't an easy step, right, Doug? So you can go to my website, buyingonlinebusiness.com/free resources. And I have a website evaluator tool that you can use. And there's also a due diligence framework that allows you to see what sort of steps you need to take and what sort of information you need to learn about the business before you buy it. So such valuable tools. Everybody that's listening, thank you so much for listening. I do greatly appreciate your time and your presence. If you did like this, please be sure to like, share, subscribe. If you did like it, leave me a comment or a review, letting me know what you actually liked about it so I can bring more awesome guests to the show like Doug. And I look forward to speaking to you guys soon.